Hello, and welcome to another Beyond the Clear Walls remake, this time covering the clown loach Chromobotia macracantha. If loaches can hold a popularity contest, the clown loach would be the leading choice, so dojos, Suellia hillstrings, and coolie loaches are closing in rapidly. The most well-known fish in the Botiidae, the clown loach is readily distinguished from other members of its family by its size and coloration. One could even argue that the clown loach is the most well-known loach of all. Although other loaches may be more physiologically specialized, being big and orange has won the clown loach many fans in the aquarium hobby. The fairly generalized nature of the species in respect to the Botiidae means that much of the stuff covered in the following sections applies to other botiid loaches. Many loaches, or Cobitidae in general, are characterized by cryptic coloration. Imagine varying shades of brown, gray, and grage distributed in diverse patterns. Since loaches have many crepuscular benthic species, this helps them escape detection from the myriad predators of their home waters. The clown loach is a modification of this rule. With its striking pattern of 3 vertical wide black stripes on an orangey cream background, plus scarlet fins, Chromobotia macracantha stands out amongst its relatives. The stripes help break up their outline when hiding amongst plants and debris, much like a tiger's stripes. In fact, stripes are a common pattern in botiid loaches, but the other botiid loaches usually aren't as brightly colored. Orange and black striping can also be seen in other fishes sympatric to the clown loach, like the Puntigris barbs and the newly discovered Copoacia loaches.
If I pull that off, will you die?
It would be extremely painful.
You're a big guy.
For you.
Loaches also tend to be small fishes, usually reaching a maximum size of 4 inches or less. Clown loaches can reach over 12 inches in length in the wild. Obviously, a larger body size offers the degree of predator protection smaller fishes don't receive. Clown loaches grow slowly, so it's only the unusually lucky loaches that live to grow large. Chromobotia macracantha is endemic to the Indonesian/Malaysian islands of Borneo and Sumatra, which split apart from the rest of Sundaland, or the southernmost islands of Southeast Asia, around 2.6 million years ago. This is the southernmost range of botiid loaches, as the group doesn't cross Wallace's line. To be more specific, this fish seems to respect national borders, or Indonesians use this fish's distribution to divide up Borneo, and occurs on the Indonesian side of the big island which they call Kalimantan. In Kalimantan, it dwells in the river systems of Kalimantan Barat, or West Kalimantan, Kalimantan Tengah, or Central Kalimantan, and Kalimantan Timur, or East Kalimantan provinces in the Indonesian portion including the Kapuas and Kayan. Sumatran clown loaches live in eastern and southern drainages of Jambi, Sumatra Selatan, or South Sumatra, and Lampung provinces including the Batanghari, Musi, and Tulang Bawang provinces, according to Seriously Fish. Chromobotia macracantha is also one of 3 botiids found in Indonesia according to FishBase. The clown loach's ancestor likely got trapped in the 2 largest Sundaig islands as sea levels rose. These islands' insane level of biodiversity also puts a nail in the coffin of the island gigantism theory from this video's previous iteration, since there's heavy competition for resources above and below water. Clown loach populations in Borneo and Sumatra are genetically distinct and can be distinguished by subtle differences in their color pattern. Bornean loaches have mostly black pelvic fins with red leading edges, while Sumatran loaches can, but not always, have entirely red pelvic fins. The last black stripe on Bornean loaches also extends into the caudal peduncle. Sumatran specimens are somewhat duller in color than the ones from Borneo. Kalimantan is full of backwater peat swamps with tea-like color and pH. Fishes living in peat swamps tend to have rich colors, even the brown fishes. One of the most distinctive features that characterizes the Botiidae is a small erectile spine located directly under the eye that works like a switchblade. It's also alluded to in the clown loach's specific name, macracanthus, meaning large thorn. This spine, derived from the lateral ethmoid bone, can be erected in self-defense or territorial display amongst conspecifics. Suborbital spine shape is a diagnostic feature in the Botiidae, and Chromobotia is a biped or forked spine with a slight backwards curve. A suborbital spine is observed in Cobitidae and Cerbidicobitid loaches, but these fishes aren't sister groups to Botiid loaches. Clown loaches possess a large elliptical frontal parietal fontanelle, or large face on top of the skull. Other Botiids have smaller ones in length and or width. The supraethmoid, or a tall T-shaped bone near the nostrils, is wider than in other Botiid loaches. Botiid skulls are lightly built to allow for greater flexibility of the head as the fish roots through the substrate to find its food. The skulls are also much narrower below the cranium, allowing space for muscle and ligament attachments controlling the suborbital spine, the barbels, and the jaws. This is a far cry from the wide, flat, heavily reinforced skulls of catfishes. An obscure fringe paper that hasn't been cited much, but is one of the few places that I can find osteology details of this fish, describes the skull as made of several bony cores linked together by ligaments. If there was a key bone to this whole shebang, I'd say it's the supraethmoid, as it's a comparatively large bone that many smaller ones articulate from. It also features a protruding anterior boss that I assume the rostral-barbel muscles attached to. Located directly behind the barbels are the jaws, which are sharp and pointy. The maxillae have an arch shape that comes to a point at the tip, while the mandibles are trowel-shaped. Dorsally, the maxillae feature a long vertical bony projection which is attached to several ligaments. Together, the jaws resemble a crow's beak. The peculiar jaw shape allows the fish to delicately probe around for morsels on the bottom and bite things with surprising force considering their lack of teeth. Alas, there are but 5 papers that I know of describing Chromobotia osteology that I could find. First was Dr. Kottelat's paper describing Botia kubotai, where he compared the then newly discovered fish to the rest of the family. The second was the 1982 Sawada Cobitidae paper recommended as an introduction to Loach physical features. The third one covers the whole Cobitidae and is 300 pages long. The French paper from the 1960s I didn't know about until 2025 was the fourth. It had weird terminology, and the last one was Dr. Conway's graduate thesis about Silurhynchus, which covers the Cypriniformes as a whole. Feel free to correct me in the comment section. Luckily, I found some Botia Loach CT scans in the very last second, so I could come up with better featherfin conjecture. Many Botia loaches, like the clown loach, possess 4 rostral barbels located at the tip of the fish's snout, 2 maxillary or rectal barbels located at the corner of their mouth, and 2 mandibular barbels located on the bottom of the fish's lower lip. These barbels are quite short, especially compared to those of catfishes, but well developed. Like a catfish, the clown loach uses its barbels, richly supplied with nerve endings and taste buds, to help find food in the substrate of the murky waters that they inhabit. These barbels are attached to extensive musculature that allows the loach to move them with several degrees of freedom. One of the clown loach's favorite foods is aquatic snails. Now you might be thinking, hey wait, didn't you just say loaches don't have teeth? What do they crush snails with? Loach magic? The simple answer is, they don't. Botiid loaches have thick, fleshy lips that work in tandem with the crow-like jaws, which they attach to the snail shell's opening to chisel and suck out the soft flesh. The kinetinoid bone pushes the maxilla forward to gain purchase on the shell, while the lower jaw scoops and pinches the meat inside. The flesh is later chewed by the pharyngeal teeth. What's special about these pharyngeal teeth is that they may be used to produce an audible clicking sound, accompanied by rapidly opening and closing their mouth. It sounds a bit like a dying hard drive. Take a listen. These aforementioned teeth are arranged in a row on the back of a robust three-sided base, and will look quite intimidating if they were located in the fish's mouth. They're conical and recurved like a vicious predator's teeth. Botiid loaches click when they eat and/or engage in territorial disputes with another fish. It's unknown how exactly botiids click with their teeth, but redfin botia, or Yatsuhikotakia modesta, with their pharyngeal teeth experimentally held in place, are unable to produce the sound. Like I mentioned earlier, botiid skeletal diagrams are hard to come by, but with the little I can gather, the fifth dorsopharyngeal arch appears to be reduced in size. Perhaps the fish flicks this against the lower pharyngeal bones? There's also a hyoid bone located suspiciously close to the first gill rakers that botiids can strike against each other. Again, this is base/conjecture to correct me if I'm wrong. Most botiid loaches have laterally compressed bodies with somewhat arched backs, rather like a slender carp caught in a hydraulic press or Circuit de la Sade's track map. Their ventral side is pretty flat, like most benthic fishes, but relatively narrow, which is more akin to pelagic fishes. Clown loaches have higher, more arched backs than the other botiid loaches. The body shape is also hints at the botiid's basotaxonomic position amongst the loaches, as more derived loaches tend to stray far from the typical basin shape. This shape is a compromise between open water swimming, resting on the substrate, and slipping in and out of tangles of driftwood, rocks, and plant roots. Many botiid loaches are capable open water swimmers, and the clown loach is no exception. It needs to be, for it is a migratory fish. The clown loach also possesses a relatively long to deeply forked caudal fin, a trait typically found in powerful swimmers. The twin forks provide maximum thrust with as little surface area as possible. Water is a difficult substance to move around in, and tail fins with a large surface area are harder to repeatedly move back and forth over long distances. Another explanation for the unique botiid loach shape is that they are some of the few benthic shoaling fishes that exist. The narrow body reduces water resistance, so less turbulent flow trails behind the fish. Schooling fish also use the waterboard as sea shed by each bodily undulation when they swim to reduce drag. This is just like the drafting or slipstreaming in racing. I'd also assume that turbulent water trailing behind the fish is as bad as fish closely following as dirty air is for overtaking in race cars. From fish farm footage courtesy of Bioaquatics, clown loaches follow each other as closely as a NASCAR plate race. The clown loach's bottom living adaptations include large paired fins to provide support and help the fish maneuver in tight spaces, and small scales located beneath the skin that are less likely to get knocked off when a fish squeezes under a rock or something. Clown loaches, like other botiid loaches, or social fishes. During the day, clown loaches often spend their time hiding in whatever crevice they can find. At dusk, the fish become more active and begin their evening hunt for sustenance. In the wild, clown loaches live in large shoals numbering in the thousands. Their stripes help break up their outline when they're in a large shoal, confusing predators and reducing the likelihood of attacking. In captivity at least, a distinct pecking order forms between individuals. Typically, the largest and their oldest fish is the highest ranking. Normally, clown loaches don't fight each other. On the rare occasion that they do, the parties change color to a grayish tone, a process dubbed graying out by aquarium hobbyists as the fish spread their fins. They sidle next to one another, attempting to appear as large as possible. The fish may erect their spines and bash the flanks of the other fish with them. Occasionally, the fish may lock lips and push each other in a manner akin to that of cichlids. One strange habit of the clown loach is their tendency to rest on their sides. This is probably because they're more laterally compressed than most other benthic fishes. Resting on their sides probably takes less energy than perching on their fins. It also looks funny, so you can make the connection to the common name, I hope. The clown loach's obvious manner of sleeping compared to most other fishes led to its use in a fish arousal study earlier in 2025. Most known vertebrates use the erection signaling system to determine whether they're awake or not. Otherwise, the organism has narcolepsy. Botia loaches don't have the genes to produce this neurotransmitter, yet they don't suffer from narcolepsy. Zebrafish with the gene for encoding orexin removed also don't fall asleep in mid-water, but simply exhibit more fragmented sleep patterns, so this study showed that arousal might just work differently in Cypriniform fishes. Compared to zebrafish, clown loaches have 3 times the amount of melanin of concentrated hormones from neurotransmitters that control REM sleep in other vertebrates. Perhaps MCH controls arousal in Botia instead of orexin. Honestly, the paper gave me more questions than answers. Botia loaches have well-developed swim bladders, an anatomical feature locked in some other members of the Cobitidae. In the clown loach, the swim bladder's anterior chamber is covered partially by a bony capsule. The posterior chamber is larger and sits free in the body cavity. This is a major difference from Botia loaches, which have their swim bladder's anterior chamber completely covered in bone. As stated earlier, clown loaches are strong swimmers. Swim bladders keep the fish buoyant during long periods of sustained swimming. Their swim bladder, or at least its surrounding empty space, could also have an acoustic function. In Zootaxa modesta at least, there are special channels that stretch laterally from the swim bladder to the outer body wall. These lateral trunk channels are filled with fat and lymph. They form a muscle-free acoustic window beneath the skin, which could be demonstrated by measuring the auditory brainstem response at 400, 800, 1500, and 3000 Hz. The auditory capabilities of the clown loach itself have not been measured, but one could assume that it's similar across the subfamily. Since Botia loaches use human audible sounds to communicate, I've assumed that they have a developed sense of hearing. The ovarian apparatus' swim bladder connection likely helps matters. Like many other facets of Botia biology, more research is needed in this area. As I mentioned in other videos covering its members, the Cypriniformes is made up of carps, minnows, loaches, and suckers. Cypriniform fishes are important as food, except in the US, and in the aquarium hobby. Cypriniformes itself is usually split into 2 suborders, the Cobitidae and the Cyprinoidea. Cyprinoids consist of carp, minnows, bearlings, gudgeons, and Silorhynchus, while kubatoids are loaches, suckers, and Dronychilus. Those latter two families are disputed members of the suborder, but that was explained a bit more and the Keys of Enigma. Botiidae, and by extension our striped friend, are within the less controversial members of this suborder, collectively known as loaches. What does Botia mean? It's just one of the native Indonesian names for Botiid loach. Claims that the name meant warrior in some Asian language have gone unsubstantiated. The Botiidae consists of 8 genera. In the Botiidae subfamily, there are the genera Amastaya, Botia, Chromobotia, Cinnabotia, Syncrosis, and Yasuhikotakia. The Leptobotiinae subfamily consists of Leptobotia and Parabotia. The main difference between the subfamilies is the chromosome count. Botiine fishes are tetraploid, while Leptobotiine fishes are diploid. A 2025 paper posited that Botiine tetraploidy is due to an ancient hybridization event circa 15 million years ago. Who were the parents? All we know is not Leptobotiinae. Leptobotiine loaches also tend to be much more elongated in body shape than Botiine loaches. Lepto means thin in Greek. Chromobotia macracanthus is the sister species of Botiid loaches. Chromobotia itself also split off from the rest of the family about 35 million years ago, according to the paper mentioned earlier, and the Chinese one written around the same time. The other current Botiid lineages appeared a few million years later. Originally, the Botiidae was a subfamily within the true loach family Cobitidae. Cobitid loaches are typically long and eel-shaped. They share a benthic lifestyle, barbels, and suborbital spine with the Botiidae. The clown loach was initially placed in the genus Cobitis by Bleecker when it was first discovered in 1852, a time of limited taxonomic knowledge. Oddly enough, the genus Botia already existed at this time, so placing the fish in Cobitis initially was a strange decision. Communication at this time was archaic, so Mr. Bleecker probably didn't even know the genus existed. The paper initially describing the clown loach was also written in Latin, with additional commentary in Dutch, as Latin was still the lingua franca of the sciences at this time, and it was still clearer than many modern scientific papers. He noted the fish's maximum size is about 5 inches to 13 centimeters, showing how slowly they grow and how rare large specimens are. Bleecker eventually learned the Botia by 1863 and placed our story's protagonist in the genus by then. He also finally saw large adults and corrected the maximum size to 320 millimeters. Bleecker even called the fish the most beautiful of its relatives. Botiidae was split from the Cobitidae in 2002 by the Romanian ichthyologist T.T. Nalban, who realized how morphologically distinct they are. Anyone with working eyes realizes this. In the article where he splits the Cobitidae, he argues that the Botiidae are the most basal family of loaches, which is true. In 2004, Kottelat picked holes in Nalban's paper while describing Botia kubotai. And by picking holes, I mean he poured the poor Romanian a new one. The absolute state of Nalban, who thought he could make big sweeping claims about loaches in the days of the internet. Nalban apparently ignored many very important papers on loach phylogeny, like Sawada's 1982 classic, Phylogeny and Zoogeography of the superfamily Cobitidae, Cypriniformes. Sawada's paper was one of the first to truly define the modern loach groupings, and even made note of the clown loach's distinctive traits. Nalban's identification keys are also a contradictory mess. I'm not going into that because that's just going to bloat the video more. Nalban also uses zoogeography as a phylogenetic character. This is stupid because organisms can migrate, and the Earth's surface hasn't always been static. Zoogeography itself is derived from phylogenetic characters. Lastly, or at least the last point in the cover, but I think you get the point by now, he lumps Bilontella with the botiines based off of flimsy evidence. These are separate groups, and the criteria he used didn't contain any Synaptomorphes or shared evolved features of a clade. Kottelat's paper also erected the new genus Chromobotia for the clown loach, where our subject for size for the time being. The clown loach is an adaptable fish, spending time in riverine and floodplain habitats depending on the season. As Borneo and Sumatra are tropical islands, seasonal variation is linked with precipitation rather than temperature. That means that there's a wet season and a dry season. The life of a clown loach starts in the wet season, which runs from about December to April. Scores of adult fish travel to flooded forest areas to release their gametes, or eggs and sperm. Like other Cypriniformes, males nudge the flanks of the females to help the eggs come out faster. A large female can let loose thousands of eggs. No other parental care is provided, which is typical of Arthragus egg-gathering fishes. Unlike salmon, they are heteroporous, so they can breed annually and not die. These larvae are also quite temperature sensitive. About 26 to 29 degrees Celsius, or about 80 to 84 degrees Fahrenheit, are the magic numbers for the first few days of life, and variation beyond that has adverse effects on survival. Experimentally, clown loach larvae are only capable of surviving temperatures between 23 and 32 degrees Celsius, which are pretty standard tropical fish tank temperatures close to what you would find in an Indonesian rainy season river. These eggs absorb water like seismitoad and hatch relatively quickly under laboratory conditions, which can be less than 24 hours depending on the incubation temperature. The vulnerable pelagic larvae are unable to eat until about 96 hours after hatching. 24 hours prior to that, the larvae begin their benthic lifestyle as they gain control of their swim bladders. When the larvae absorb their yolk sac, they live off of zooplankton until their mouths are large enough to consume the benthic invertebrates that they will live off of for the remainder of their being. Very young larvae tear off chunks of their tiny prey, while older ones swallow their food whole. The larvae's small mouths and deep bodies ensure that their sibling and cousins don't make up any portion of a baby clown loach's diet. The mouths are also more terminally located as larvae, but quickly migrate under the snout as the fish ages. The fry also have an erratic growth rate thanks to some of the babies feeding more efficiently than their runt siblings. Strangely enough for a tropical fish, the larvae can go for a long time without food. Slembrouck et al. Hypothesizes that the relatively long time that larvae spend drifting in the water column allows them fewer chances to find food. Larvae initially also have 5 stripes, but the third one migrates into the dorsal fin at an extremely young age, where the last stripe completely vanishes. Juveniles live in large shoals in the floodplain areas until the dry season, when they enter large river channels. The floodplains typically have relatively high temperatures, over 28 degrees Celsius or about 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and low pH, around 4 to 6. The water is also stained with tannins, giving it a tea-like appearance. In contrast, water conditions are cooler and more alkaline in the large river channels. The tannins, siltation of their habitat, and clown loach crepuscular habits make it hard to find good footage of the fish in the wild. Large stones, driftwood, and depressions in the substrate provide shelter. When the fish mature after a few years, they move into the main river channels to spawn. Mature clown loaches are also mildly sexually dimorphic. Males are slimmer and brighter in color than females, with males having redder fins. Males' caudal fin tips also curve inwards. These fish occupy the medium-sized social omnivore with a carnivorous bias niche, similar to the two syncrosis loaches which also live in Indonesia. A couple key differences partition this niche amongst the trio of botiines. From aquarium observations, syncrosis loaches are significantly more territorial in behavior than the clown loach, so schooling is likely less important in the world of syncrosis. Syncrosis elotes is also more nocturnal than Chromobotia macracantha, and Syncrosis reversa only grows to about 4 inches long and is much rarer. Clown loach diet studies have been hard to come by, but they've been demonstrated to be fond of aquatic invertebrates like snails and Aquaria. The one Botia that I could find with an analysis of wild stomach contents is Botia dario from Bangladesh. Botia dario's diet consists largely of worms, insect larvae, fish parts, and mollusks. This tracks what we've seen from other loaches in Aquaria. Detritus and plant material make up a small proportion of the diet and are likely to be consumed by accident. However, an abstract from a paper I'm not bothering to gain access to from Indonesia on their fish's native diets lists the clown loach as a detritivore as well as a species of Channa, which is known for eating all kinds of animals in the wild, so I automatically find this paper suspect. Besides spawning habits, catch locations, and inferences about their diet, relatively little is known about these fish in the wild. Asian fishes are a woefully understood study group in general, and many species are lucky to have more than just a taxonomic description online. Most knowledge of their behavior comes from reports from apiarists and the few attempts to breed them in captivity. Little data has been taken on clown loach population numbers despite their commercial importance. The IUCN lists the fish's least concern as of 2019 because the fish is common enough throughout its native range. However, catches have declined from the 20 million recorded in 1997. Borneo and Sumatra are also dealing with massive habitat loss thanks to agriculture and development, which does not bode well for a migratory fish that takes years to mature. Millions of juveniles are taken out of rivers annually to feed the hungry aquarium trade. With the growing threat of habitat loss and the lack of people investigating the status of Southeast Asian peat swamp fishes, it'd be a good call to relist the clown loach as diet efficient instead of least concern. High foreign demand means that Bornean and Sumatran locals can stand to make a decent living from collecting these fish, at least while they're in season. Therefore, Indonesia has banned the exportation of any clown loaches larger than 6 inches long to protect the valuable broodstock. This restriction doesn't exist in Sumatra, so the $100 monster clown loaches you may find for sale once in a blue moon most likely come from there. In Borneo, aquarium-sized clown loaches are captured during the rainy season in the floodplain areas. They occur in such quantities during this time that your average fisherman could expect to collect at least 100 per day, at least they were over a decade ago. Clown loaches are quick and evasive, so it's not like you can get a big seine and expect to capture millions of individuals consistently. Sumatran fishermen use an ingenious method instead. They take a bamboo stick and cut holes in it. Clown loaches can't resist a good hiding place, so the unsuspecting loaches pile into the bamboo trap. The fishermen then sell their catch to middlemen. The bamboo capture method makes this a non-issue, as most clown loaches are offered for sale around 2 inches long, or 5 centimeters. Bamboo poles aren't exactly spacious inside, which naturally limits the size of the collected fish. Bornean collectors also use bamboo traps and they call theirs tabung, but they tie a bunch together and lay them on the bottom instead. This may be an easier trap to construct, but removing the fish from their false hiding place is harder, stressing the fish more in transport. Sumatran traps can simply be poured out over a container. Collectors have taken advantage of the egg's propensity to float out to sea and started gathering eggs for farmers to grow out to a sea-level size. Like any large fish in a less industrialized country, the clown loach also serves as a food fish. Kottelat modesta is a delicacy said to have soft, fragrant, fatty meat, so I'd imagine that clown loaches taste very similar. I'd assume that said flavor has nutty undertones because of their diet's high polyunsaturated fatty acid content. Since they make large migratory trips, they flood the local markets for a couple of days. Migration is very energy intensive, so the fish must pack on layers of fat before undergoing the massive trip. The popularity of the clown loach as both an aquarium and food fish, more the former, has led to study the captive breeding programs. So far, these programs haven't made a noticeable impact on the prices or rarity of clown loach in aquarium stores or the food business. One program that actually has experienced success in breeding is bioaquatics, which bred for the aquarium trade. Unfortunately, bioaquatics was adversely affected by Hurricane Milton in 2024 and pulled out of the ornamental aquaculture business. Bioaquatics trigger spawning by periodically changing the conditions from alkaline rapid simulation to acid, warm floodplain mimicking conditions. Bioaquatics additionally use the hoverprim hormone to guarantee that they spawn. Andres, the owner, claims that the hormonal treatment is necessary and quite finicky to administer accurately. When the fish are ready, gametes are manually stripped from the broodstock, which is only half as romantic as what they do in the wild. It's a shortcut, but an effective one used to breed countless fishes in aquaculture. Bioaquatics also use fairly small specimens, about 4 inches or more, as broodstock, hinting that clown loaches become sexually mature much earlier than initially believed. The smaller ones don't yield much until they go through a couple of spawnings. In his experience, Andres struggled the most with water conditions for this fry. He states that if the water isn't like the insanely soft black water of their homelands, the fry failed to develop properly. Clown loaches are also commercially spawned in Europe, aka the Czech Republic and Spain, on occasion. Artificially spawned loaches are significantly more expensive than wild-caught ones. Clown loach prices have gone up some since I was a kid, and this video's previous iteration. Blame inflation, supply chain issues, dropping demand, habitat loss, or smaller catches? Until this decade, you could get 2-inch juveniles for $89 all day. Clown loaches are also apparently quite delicate until they reach the size of roughly 2 inches, which is also the size that's most commonly collected for the aquarium trade. Because of this, it's just easier to import clown loaches in Western countries. In the clown loach's native range, large individuals over 6 inches long are collected from the wild and induced to spawn hormonally. This requires sourcing sexually mature specimens, which may not be the easiest to come by. Other prospective breeders take smaller wild fish and attempt to grow them out like one would do with farm tuna. Sumatran fishes make for slightly better broodstock than Bornean fishes, as they produce more eggs according to a study conducted in Indonesia. The fish used in this study were kept in a circulating system similar to other farm fishes and fed liberally with earthworms. Ovaprim and human gonadotropic hormone injections made the fish actually lay eggs. Thanks to their finicky childhood and reliance on specific conditions to spawn, clown loaches don't run a large risk of becoming invasive in other countries. As has been repeatedly stated earlier, clown loaches are prized aquarium specimens. Oftentimes, they are recommended by pet store employees to rid the tank of a snail infestation. This they are highly efficient at taking care of. Unlike many other benthic fishes, clown loaches are often purchased for their appearance and not just to clean the bottom. However, pet stores don't often make it obvious that certain fishes have more advanced care requirements than what the average Joe might think when you want to spy the fish section money in hand. This includes the clown loach. Large tanks with multiple clown loaches are a requirement if the fish is to thrive long term. However, clown loaches are slightly more expensive than most other schooling fishes, so the value-minded beginning aquarist often buys just one and wonders why it looks sad and hides all day. Clown loaches grow slowly, so getting the massive tank isn't as immediately present as it would be for a common pleco or Oscar. plan for it anyway. I'd recommend a tank of at least 6 feet long for a small group of adults. This tank should be furnished with plenty of cage for the fish to hide in. Sturdy plants are required if you intend to furnish your living quarters with greenery. The loaches may uproot fragile plants and/or poke holes in their leaves. Water flow is also a nice addition to add extra oxygen, enrichment, and exercise. A powerful filter and/or power head should do the trick. Another thing that clown loaches have a reputation for is ick acceptability. Ick, short for Ichthyophilus multifilus, is the scourge of aquarists everywhere. A protozoa and parasite, ick forms small cysts on the unlucky fish's skin and gills. These cysts look like white spots and can be fatal if not treated in time. Since clown loaches are often kept in inappropriate conditions, they tend to get stressed out. Stressed fish get sick more easily. Therefore, clown loaches seem to contract ick very quickly. Those tiny scales embedded in their skin aren't great for defending against environmental pollutants, so clown loaches are sensitive to most medications. This has led to the death of millions, citation needed, of clown loaches. This number is backed up by the fact that clown loaches have been known to the aquarium hobby since at least 1937, which is comparable to the Carboniferous period hobby-wise. An ancient Ennis tropical fish guide notes their odd sleeping habits, aberrant appearance compared to Cobitidae loaches, and ease of feeding. The guide also mentions that the fish is quite shy when kept alone and has the potential to grow about 5 inches long. A real understatement, that is. Another common practice is to keep clown loaches with African rift-legged cichlids. The loach's orange and black coloration contrasts greatly with the blues and yellows of the cichlids. The loaches can also use their spines as weapons against cichlid attacks, so they can stay relatively safe from their aggressive onslaughts. Most rift-legged cichlids prefer hard alkaline water, while the clown loach is typically found in more neutral to acidic conditions, but does venture into harder waters. So the differences in ideal water quality for both types of fish may lead to stress for one or both parties. If you choose to go this route, keep vigilant for any signs of stress caused to the loaches and have a contingency plan for them if things go south. If you want botiine loaches that will actively harass the cichlids, get some crosses or some of the yacht ecotochias. Feeding your clown loach is simple, as they eat most standard aquarium foods. If the food morsel is especially large and tasty, the fish will make those clicking sounds mentioned a few sections ago. Make sure to get foods rich in keratin like krill and shrimp to maintain their coloration. If you maintain your clown loach correctly, they should remain in your care for several decades. Monster Fish Keeper's forum member Red Shark 1 had a group that surpassed 30 years in this care. He claims this group of millennial clown loaches have been almost trouble-free over all those years. Breeding a clown loach in the aquarium is extremely rare. So rare that when it does happen, most aquarists start looking for the signs of the apocalypse. Few reliable accounts of them spawning in captivity without hormones exist. Therefore, spawning this fish is the holy grail for many hobbyists, myself included. The account most easily found online seems to be a very elaborate fake. Clown loaches eating other fish? Come on, they can't do that. Another spawning took place in Canada in the 1970s. I only knew of this account thanks to my access to BSSW back issues. Thanks, Christian! A small group of loaches about 5 to 6 inches long were transferred to a warm aquarium that previously housed spawning discus. The parents were rarely seen during the day and were fed a mix of beef heart, tetramin, spinach, and shrimp pellets. The babies were found during a plant trimming, surprising their owner greatly. The one thing I can guarantee is that attempting to breed these striped beauties will require a lot of time, money, and space, even if you use hormones. So, this is the clown loach. A giant amongst his relatives, the aquarium hobby, and the Indonesian economy. They're funny to watch. Do y'all have any funny clown loach stories? Did I completely bungle something and you need to let me know? Just say so in the comments. You know what to do if you want to hear more about benthic fishes and sports car racing. Featherfin Films, disparate topics in deep detail. This is Synodontis Man signing off. Adios.